Welcome to Garden of the Spirit, a class studying apples from the orchard for the second time beginning after Pesach 2014. This class meets in Long Meadow, Massachusetts, the center of the universe, and is held in memory of Malka Ruth Bas Moshe Margaret Vogel, blessed memory. Apples from the Orchard contain selections of teachings of Kabbalah from the Arizal, the Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, based on the weekly Torah portions, superbly translated and explained by Rabbi Moshe Wisniewski. We are on page 933. Shoftim 1. Let me pull up the notes. Okay. The Torah gives a mitzvah to appoint judges and police. The Torah gives directions in the singular. Appoint for yourself in all your gates, which Hashem gives you. In English, the singular and plural form of you are the same. In Hebrew, it's different, as is the verb appoint. Another point in this pasuk is the word gates. In olden times, the action was at the gate of the city. The action was there. The action happened there. Official business and municipal affairs were often transacted at the gate. Avram bought the cave of Machpelah, and Boaz made the deal to marry Ruth at the gate of the city. I was in Hebron a few years ago, and we came to, not that long ago, new excavations where they found the ancient wall of Hebron. And you can see that was the opening, the gate of ancient Hebron, and that is where Abraham bought the cave of Machpelah. He bought it there because that's where the city council would meet. Alan, please begin.
Shoftim, protection for peace. Appoint judges and policemen in all your gates, which your Hashem gives you, according to your tribes, that they may judge the people equitably. Although it is not evident in English, the imperative point, as well as the pronoun your and you, are in the singular. Go on.
Go ahead.
Why is this commandment phrased in the singular rather than in the plural?
Okay, my turn. Rabbi Chaim Vital explained that the Torah speaks in the singular because it refers to the gates of each individual. Eyes are the gates of sight. Ears are the gates of hearing. The mouth is the gate of speech. The nose is the gate of smell. Hands and feet are gates of touch. They write Rabbi Chaim Vital of blessed memory, but I thought he was the one writing this, so I'm not sure how that works over here. Okay, go ahead. Your turn again.
We heard in the name of the esteemed Rabbi Chaim Vital of righteous memory that this is so in order to indicate that every individual Jew has several gates. These are the eyes, the gates of sight, the ears, the gates of hearing, the mouth, the gates of speech, the nose, the gate of smell, the hands and feet, the gate of touch. Just as the gate of a domain is a passageway through which one enters and exits, the gates of the person are his sense organs, through which stimuli enter his mind and he reacts to the outside world. The skin, here represented by the hands and feet, its principal loci of action, is in fact considered an organ in many biological contexts, no less than the other organs mentioned here.
Okay. Therefore, a person must establish judges and police for all these gates. He should not look at a woman or pictures who is not fully clothed. He should not listen to inappropriate things. He should not speak foul words or gossip. He should not smell perfume from a woman forbidden to him. He should not touch a woman forbidden to him, and he should not go to an act of sin or to theaters or circuses. The Torah says your gates in the singular to imply this message, to each individual. I'm going to say is for each individual. Okay. I think the circuses in those days probably a little different than circuses we have today. But things were there the things happened there that were not appropriate, not in accordance with Torah, with the spirit of Torah. Okay, page 934.
Thus, a person must position judges and policemen at each of these gates in order to protect himself from looking at women forbidden to him, listening to untoward matters, speaking in a foul or malicious manner, smelling the perfume of a woman forbidden to him, touching such a woman, or walking to commit a sexual sin, or walking to theaters or circuses. This is why your gates is phrased in the singular in order to indicate the above.
Let me just finish italicizing these. Oops. Here. A minute. Okay, each of these verbs is connected with one of the senses, one of the organs that we mentioned before. The Medrash says there are 10 songs in Tanakh. 9 have been sung, such as the song at the sea and the song of Devorah, and the 10th will be sung when Mashiach will come. But it's already been written in chapter 26 of Yeshaya. The chapter opens with the statement, on that day this song will be sung in the land of Yehuda. Open the gates, so the righteous nation, keeper of the faith, may enter. Pischu, Sha'arim, V'yavai Goy Tzadik, Shomer Emunim. The keeper of the faith. Someone who guards his own personal gates will merit to enter the gates of this pasuk. Over here, it seems it refers specifically to the city of Yerushalayim when Mashiach will come and the righteous will enter. But we also understand it to mean in a much broader sense. Okay, go ahead, Alan.
When a person guards his gates from sin, it is said of him, open up, O gates, that a righteous nation may enter, measure for measure. Furthermore, the 310 worlds destined for every righteous person will open their gates for him, for every world has its entrance gate. The final section of the Mishnah begins. Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi said, the Holy One, blessed be he, will in the future bequeath every righteous individual 310 worlds, as it is written, to bequeath substance to my beloved, and I will fill their storehouses. The numerical value of the word for substance, yesh, yud shin, is 310.
Yeah, I didn't read that. The very last Mishnah says Hashem will bequeath every tzaddik 310 worlds based on the pasuk Lahanchil oyavai yesh, that I may cause those that love me to inherit substance. Yesh. The gematria yesh is 310. There are also hostile angels between here and heaven. There are 7 heavens, and each one has a number of gates. The gates to the heavens are only open for him if he is worthy. Someone who sets judges and police at his personal gates gets by the hostile angels, or will get by the hostile angels, judges and police of the other side, and will enter the gates. Jim, would you like to continue? 934, last paragraph.
Know as well that on the path from here to heaven, there are all sorts of accusing angels and angels of destruction. And there are a number of gates to each of the 7 heavens, each of which is guarded. When the soul ascends, it is inspected. If it's worthy, the gates are open for it, and it is permitted to enter. If it is not, it is pushed outside. The gates are closed before it, and it is not allowed to enter. For this reason, every intelligent person should take this teaching to heart while he is still alive. Control and guard his gates, as we said above. He will then merit to have the gates of righteousness opened before him, as we said. The accusing angels and angels of destruction are the corresponding elements to judges and policemen on the side of evil. The accusing angels tally off the individual sins which were brought about by not properly guarding his gates, and the angels of destruction cause the ascending soul to suffer accordingly. The seven heavens are listed in the Talmud.
Okay, continue at the top of the next page.
Right. So, number one, Vilon, curtain. Number two, Rakia, firmament. Number three, Shachakim, dust. Number four, Zevel, habitation. Number five, Ma'on, also habitation. Number six, Machon, residence. And number seven, Aravot, darkness.
Okay, so thank you. That was chapter 1. Okay, protection for peace. So the gates, the Torah tells to set up judges and police at the gates. This refers to our own personal lives. We'll do chapter 2, and this is in 935. The angels argue with God. Let me begin. The Torah says if something is beyond you to judge between two types of blood, between two types of cases, between two sores of tzaras, or an argument in your gates, the Arizal will interpret this pasuk based on a medrash regarding the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. And obviously, I do want to point out that this week is Parshas Shoftim. So we are now learning from this week's Parsha.
Mhm.
Okay, please continue, Jim.
The angels argue with God. Is something to be too complicated? If something I guess, is to be too complicated for you to judge, whether it be between two types of blood, or two different cases, or types of plague, or an argument in your gates, go up to the place that God, your God, will choose. The place that God will choose refers to the site of the temple in Jerusalem, where the high court, the Sanhedrin, meet or met.
Okay.
They are the final judicial authority of the Torah.
Okay, 2. So the Rizal will connect this pasuk with a medrash. The medrash says the angels argued to Hashem at the destruction that there is a mitzvah to cover the blood of a bird or certain animals of the extended deer family after it is slaughtered. It is considered an act of respect to the slaughtered bird or animal that its blood isn't left there exposed. Now, for whatever reason, this law, this mitzvah, does not apply to cows, the bovine family, sheep, or goats. Yet Jewish blood was spilled at the destruction. The Tehillim says they have shed their blood like water, and Yechezkel says, for the blood she shed is still in her. How could Hashem, the angels argued with Hashem, how could Hashem allow the blood of the Jewish people to be spilled without being covered? We know that Hashem observes himself, the mitzvahs that he gives to us. Magid Devarav Yaakov Chukom Yishad Yisrael. He tells his words to Yaakov, his laws and his statutes to Israel. So here, Hashem was allowing this to happen, even though it is against the mitzvah. Go ahead, Jim.
Okay, so according to our sages, this verse alludes to an exchange between the ministering angels and the Holy One, blessed be He, when the temple was being destroyed. The following exchange is based on the idea that he declares his words to Jacob, his judgments to Israel, that the commandments of the Torah are a description of the ways, the customs, behavior of God in some abstract or spiritual way. He himself performs all the commandments in the Torah, commands us to do the same simply in order that we may emulate him. When the temple was destroyed, according to the accusations of the angel in exchange, God transgressed a number of his own commandments, so to speak.
Okay, 3. So the angels argued further, there's a mitzvah not to slaughter an animal and its offspring on the same day. Yet here we find the children were killed with their parents. One moment. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The angels began, Master of the world, you wrote in your Torah, when you shed its blood, you must cover the blood with dirt. After any animal is slaughtered in a ritual manner, its blood must be covered in dirt.
Okay, as I mentioned, it's not, it's with the exception of bovines, of the sheep and goats. Continue.
In this case, however, it is written, O God, nations have come into your inheritance. They've defiled your holy temple. They've laid Jerusalem in heaps. They've given the dead bodies of your servants to be food to the birds of the sky, the flesh of your pious ones to the beasts of the earth. They've shed their blood like water around Jerusalem, and there was no one to bury them, for the blood she shed is still in her. She set it upon the bare rock. She did not pour it out on the ground to cover it with earth. The prophet refers here to the population of Jerusalem as an errant woman.
Okay. 4. They argued more. The angels argued further, there's a mitzvah not to slaughter an animal and its offspring on the same day. Yet here we find the children were killed with their parents. How could Hashem allow this? Go ahead.
You wrote in your Torah, you should not slaughter any animal and its young on the same day. In this case, however, it's written, mothers and babes were dashed to death together.
Now, next, third question. If there's a spot of tsaras on the wall of a house, the Kohen orders everything to be removed from the house before he checks the house and declares it impure. This is to prevent the items from being impure as from becoming impure as well. Many items can be made pure by being immersed in a mikvah. Items that cannot become pure again are cheap earthenware items, yet the Torah places value on them too, and does not want even those to be discarded. The angels argued that Hashem allowed cherished objects to be destroyed. Thank you, Jim. Abigail, would you like to continue? Bottom of 936.
You wrote in your Torah, and the priest shall command that they empty the house. When a house is about to be declared defiled by reason of a plague having attacked its walls, the officiating priest is required to direct those present to first empty the house of all its movable items. This is in order that they not fall under the same declaration of impurity as the house he is about to sentence. For if they were, it would be necessary to purify them or destroy them if they could not be purified, as is the case with earthenware vessels. We see from this law that God is concerned with not causing unnecessary monetary loss to any Jew. In this case, however, it is written, they burned the house of God and tore down the walls of Jerusalem, burned down all its mansions, and consigned all its precious objects to destruction.
All right. So our angels are arguing with Hashem, putting in a claim for us.
Wow.
Jim, how does that sound to you?
Sounds good.
As arguing a case.
Yeah, as a counselor. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't usually do that for us.
Me?
Angels.
Oh.
Don't they usually argue
do.
against us?
Sometimes.
Or do they just like to argue so this works for them?
Yeah, that's their thing. Hashem responded to them that there is no peace among the people, and if there's no peace, nothing else matters. Our rabbis tell us that the second base of Mikdash was destroyed because of a lack of Avas Yisrael. Okay. Go ahead, Abigail.
God answered them, is there any peace in the world then? Since there is no peace, there is nothing. It is stated in the Mishnah that peace is the vessel for all blessing, meaning that without peace, there is no point in God bestowing his blessing on the world. For inasmuch as there is no vessel to contain it, it will just dissipate. We are taught specifically that it was the second temple that was destroyed on account of the baseless hatred amongst the Jewish people, whereas the first temple was destroyed on account of other sins. Yet the verses quoted all refer to the destruction of the first temple, which occurred during biblical times, while that of second temple was post-biblical. However, that the same sorts of suffering occurred in the second destruction, and there is also am I reading this right? And there's also no reason to assume that the verses referring to the first destruction do not refer prophetically to the second destruction as well.
Okay, as we sometimes say, he mixes everything together. Might say he conflates different things, and it's I guess legitimate. So this is where the notes run out, but let's go back. I'm sorry. Give me a second, please. Wrong place. Okay, let's look back how we started this. The Torah said that if something is beyond you to judge between two types of blood, between two types of cases, between two sores of tzaras, or an argument in your gates, and he connects this pasuk with the medrash that we just read. Stop share just a second. Okay, so first is between blood and blood. This was their first question. That how is it that the blood of the people is not covered? There's a mitzvah to cover the blood of birds or certain animals, and here you do not allow the blood to be covered. That not you don't allow, but you allow the people to be killed without their blood being covered. Okay, go ahead, Abigail.
God answered
All this
alluded in this verse quoted above as follows. If something be too complicated for you to judge, whether it be between two types of blood, this refers to the angel's query about why God did not follow his own law regarding shedding blood and did not cover the blood with dirt, or two different cases. This refers to the angel's query why God did not follow his own law regarding not slaughtering an animal and its young on the same day, or types of plague. This refers.
One moment. The second question was that I'm slaughtering an animal and its offspring on the same day.
Mhm.
This is connecting this next line in the pasuk that says, "Bein din l'din," between one
different cases.
judgment and another judgment.
Mhm.
Two different types of two different cases.
Mhm.
The third question was that the Kohen gives instructions to take everything out of the house before it comes to check on it. And this is the third line, that Nega lenega. Nega is a sore of tzaras, and that is talking about the tzaras in a house.
Mhm.
Okay, continue.
Or types of plague. This refers to the angel's query why God did not follow his own law regarding saving property and possessions.
Because the plague is not a good word. Nega specifically or usually a sore of tzaras. And the answer, what does it say in the next thing? I'm going to look
The
back on
answer
the
to
page
the
before.
angel's-
One moment, please.
Sorry.
It says, or an argument. There was a fourth thing. Or an argument in your gates. That's the reason why they're having all this trouble, because of the arguments that are going on. Okay, now you can read the next line.
The answer to the angels is alluded to in the next phrase. An argument in your gates. Argument and lack of peace brings all this about. The verse.
Then what's the solution? The solution is the next line. The next line says, "Become tov alisa alamakom asher Amar Hashem, that you rise up and Asher yivchar Hashem Elokecha bo. Rise up and go up to the place that Hashem chose. What's the place that Hashem chose? Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, it says in the Tillim, Ir Shechubra Lo Yachdav. It's a city that all are joined in it. Chubra is joined, and it's related to the word for chaver or chaverim, a friend. Why is that? Because the tribes in early Israel were very provincial or parochial, and each one was very strong, stood for their own tribe. If you want to think about it, in the United States, we talk about United States. We have the Pledge of Allegiance, that it's indivisible, and the federal government has a very strong hand over the states. We see now that there's a lot of things going on. Well, let's leave that aside. It's not like that everywhere. For example, Texas the people are very fiercely Texan. They identify very strongly as Texans, and it's actually something that I admire. I don't know people from Massachusetts like, wow, I'm from Massachusetts. Like, no. Red Sox fan, Patriots, yes. From Massachusetts, I don't know.
Is New York like that?
New Yorkers, some. There was an article I remember reading, I don't know if it was New York Times, when 212 used to be the entire New York City, all 5 boroughs. And then they needed more phone numbers. They introduced 781. 718, I'm sorry. They introduced 718 as the area code for some of the boroughs. And there was an article how people who identified as a 212 area code now aren't going to have that prestige anymore. So New Yorkers, to some extent, Texans are fiercely Texan. If you've ever read the book, they have from Michener, they have a quote, they write about a bumper sticker that says, UN out of US, US out of Texas. So they feel it very strongly. Most likely, for the first century or 407 years of our country, many people identified very strongly with their state. And according to Perush Chaim Kasevsky, a lot of this changed with the war between the states, or the War of Southern Secession, when Lincoln and the North imposed the federal will, the federal arm over the states. And I think there was a strong shift during that time. And then 3 decades later, when the Pledge of Allegiance was first introduced, who wrote it? Alan? Jim? Who composed the Pledge of Allegiance? A guy named Bellamy from Boston, whose cousin lived in Chicopee. His cousin's house in Chicopee is on the National Register of Historic Places. Francis Bellamy. I think Francis wrote the Pledge of Allegiance. I always get the first names mixed up. So he wrote the Pledge of Allegiance, and also he wrote this idea of the flag of the United States of America, for which stands one nation under God, or they didn't have, I don't know if they had under God, that one nation and indivisible. These were to impose this idea of the dominancy dominance of the federal government. So in ancient Israel, the people were fierce as okay, I'd con my own political commentary. In ancient Israel, the tribal, what's the word? The tribal affiliation was probably felt very strongly. And what King David did, he came from Yehuda. In fact, we do find that there were some during a war of Yiftach, some of the tribes came to him with complaints that he did not invite them to join in the fighting. And he actually they actually started a civil war. So you see this idea of tribes, like you went to fight, you took all the glory, you left us out. King David went and he looked here, he looked there. He was from Hebron, but he traveled a little north. And he went to Yerushalayim, and he chose Yerushalayim because it was centrally located, and he meant that it should be a city that unites all the tribes, and the people should perhaps that people should first feel an affiliation or association with the Jewish people as a whole, and only afterwards to their tribe. Maybe that was my idea. Maybe that was his idea. Maybe I'm making that part up. But he did want it to be a location that unites the tribes. And that's the meaning that we see in Tehillim, Shechurba la Yachtov, that it's going to say here. So that is the solution. Abigail, continue.
The verse then concludes, go up to the place that God your God will choose, for Jerusalem is the city that is altogether united. In it all become friends. Jerusalem existed before the temples were destroyed, of course. So what is meant here is obviously more than a physical ascent to the physical city of Jerusalem. Rather, what is meant is an ascent to the ideals embodied in the idealized vision of Jerusalem as the center of the Torah and divine revelation on earth. This is embodied in the name Jerusalem, which means total awe, Yerushalayim, Yira, Shalem, or absolute awareness of being in the presence of God. Also, yeah.
Yeah, continue.
Also, the study of Torah unites and makes peace amongst people.
Okay. So, very good. Give me 1 minute. This is, yeah, we just did 6 pages, really interesting stuff.